Hey all, here at OS Reviews, you're watching our unboxing and first impressions look at the Kospet Hope. This is a 4G enabled smartwatch that you can insert a SIM card into and you can use it as a dedicated cell phone even. So it's a little bit different from the Android Wear or Apple Watches of the world, which still need a regular phone for it to be a companion to. This is running on a full version of Android. So in a sense, it's not quite as optimized, but it's also more feature rich. Now it sells for $140, and what makes it really interesting is it's the first wearable in the world that has 3 gigs of built-in RAM. That's pretty crazy considering the small size of this wearable and the fact that it packs more RAM than many entry-level phones and even laptops and Chromebooks on the market. So hopefully performance will be really fast. It has a 1.4-inch AMOLED display, has dual-band 4G, Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, an optical heart rate sensor, so all of those are built in addition to a 8-megapixel camera, and has 9 types of different sports that you can track. In addition, it has removable bands and straps, and it's also waterproof. About the same price as other Android smartwatches I've seen, but of course this one has 3 gigs of built-in RAM, so again, hopefully performance will be better. There's the watch right on top. We've got an extra screen protector. There's actually one protector that's pre-installed on the watch, so there's a second one. And there's also a quick user guide that documents the various features in full color and how to download the companion app if you do want to use it as a more traditional smartwatch by connecting it to a phone. And here's the USB charging cable. It's using a magnetic pogo contact points, which just sticks onto the back of the watch. And as aforementioned, we do have a screen protector that is pre-installed on it by default, which we can just peel back. And initial impressions is it does look like a pretty premium design, but also very reminiscent of the Amazfit Pace and the Amazfit Stratos. In fact, here it is for comparison. The Stratos, which is the 2nd generation GPS wearable smartwatch from Xiaomi, you can tell that the design language is very similar. Both are using ceramic for the bezels on the sides, and both have a pretty similar overall size and form factor. Now, you can tell that it's one of the bulkier wearables as well. So if we do a size comparison in terms of thickness, this is the TicWatch Pro. You can tell that it's a little bit thicker, and this is already a pretty bulky watch. We have the speaker there, the optical heart rate sensor. This little door here is for the Nano SIM card slot, is where you can pop that in. Make sure you snap this all the way back to prevent water damage if you are wearing it when getting it wet. There's the charging contact points. On the side here, we can see that's the 8-megapixel camera. So a very kind of industrial looking design, but at the same time, fairly premium. And again, not many of these Chinese, more generic smartwatches come with a built-in ceramic bezel. So this is one of the first. So let's try turning it on and see if there's any power. And indeed, it's actually turned on here by default. We're just going to select English, United States. You can tell that the interface is just very similar to regular Android. We can enter our height, our weight, and our walk target to calibrate it for the first time. Let's just tap on confirm. And now we can scan the QR code for the application. Tap on connect, and it's going to use the QR code scanning again. This is actually a second QR code that you can access by swiping next on the watch. So if we just put it here on the camera, we can now see a Bluetooth pairing request with the watch. So I'm just going to tap on pair, and over here I'm also going to tap on pair on the watch. So after a few seconds, hopefully we should be connected. The watch currently has 86% battery, and we are greeted to the main interface. This custom watch face is designed by them, and it actually looks pretty good in my opinion, fairly professional and clean. It tells us our heart rate as well as number of steps and the date, and of course the time, right there from the main home screen. This display itself actually has a slight curve to it. It's 2.5D, so the glass itself is slightly sloped towards the center, which means that navigation in terms of swiping feels very smooth and seamless. It's made by Corning Gorilla Glass. Otherwise, as far as the display is concerned, it does look very good in terms of the saturation because, again, it's AMOLED. I can long hold on the main watch face here to change watch style, so we have a few built in by default. You can probably download a few more using the companion app. And you can even choose your own image that you can take with the camera or download to the watch if you want to make a custom watch face. So let's say I want to change to this one. You can see that looks like a very kind of classy, regular or a mechanical watch. Let's try and change it to another design here. This is a very digital one with different rings, perhaps indicating the seconds hand, as you can see there. And then we have this one for the minutes and this one for the hour. Swiping up, we have access to a number of steps and averages through the entire week, as you can see there, as well as kind of the distance converted to kilometers. Pulling down, we see our battery percentage. The ring here also indicates out of 100% how much is left, and our wireless connectivity settings. We don't have a SIM card inserted right now. Over on the left, we have the notification panel if we have new push notifications, and on the right is where we see our entire list of apps. So the way that this is sorted is actually very reminiscent to an Android Wear device. It actually is very similar in terms of the gestures. Settings here, we can see it also has been tweaked. We can change the app list style from arc to round. What that does is if we go over to the list now, it is kind of reminiscent of the Apple Watch instead of the full list that you could use to scroll. And there's a separate panel now just for sports activities that we can perform, including things like ping pong, badminton, jump rope. In terms of About Watch, we can see more details such as the RAM, the processor, which is quad-core clocked at 1.3 gigahertz, and technically running on Android version 7.1 Nougat. Now, in some places, you can definitely tell it's not as optimized as on an Android Wear watch because some of the letters are cut off, and really it's treating this as a square display, as you can see there. So some of the text on the bottom can be cut off from the corners. So you can access the Play Store, and you can download virtually any app that you would want, and you can download more titles and games than what you can find on an Android Wear device, for example. Now, if we're connecting to Wi-Fi right now, let's take a look at what the keyboard looks like. So it is very small, but luckily it actually is round and conforming to the shape of the display here. Luckily, the touchscreen is really sensitive, so even typing out those tiny letters is better than expected. And there's haptic vibration, so whenever you tap on a key, the entire watch kind of vibrates to give you a kind of tactile sensation or an imitation of it. You can change the brightness here. It's actually set about 20% or 30% by default. There is no proximity light sensor, however, so there is no ability to automatically adjust the brightness of the screen. You can see that scrolling and list is pretty smooth, as expected on a watch that has 3 gigs of built-in RAM. Other built-in apps here, we do have a optical heart rate monitor function that you can activate by tapping on that key, and you can see the tracker just pop onto life there. Let's exit out. We can also check out the fitness, which includes the various sports. This interface here reminds me a lot of the Tick watch, and it will turn on GPS as well as track your heart rate and calories burned throughout the entire session. So let's finish up this activity. And again, performance here actually is pretty good, and the display is very punchy. And then just the standard tools like a voice recorder, file manager, a web browser, calculator, which are just standard from Android, which are built on in. And here's what the alarm clock app looks like that you can set on the device. Voice search, which just uses Google Search and Google Assistant, also works quite well. There's a built-in microphone, of course. Now, battery is claimed to last up to a day and a half, 2 days of light use, but we'll have to test it out more to find out. And then tapping on this again will wake up the display. The buttons themselves do feel pretty clicky and responsive on first impressions. So we'll be doing more testing and come out with a more complete review soon, so be sure to stay tuned for that if you're interested. But for now, that's been our unboxing and first impressions look at the Kospet Hope, a fairly inexpensive smartwatch that can also be used as a cell phone, uses a ceramic bezel, and combines 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of built-in storage.